Welcome to Motorola Solutions Subscription Journey to Modern Platform, powered by Oracle session. To begin this presentation, please join me in welcoming Chirag Jariwala, a principal at Deloitte.
Good afternoon. I think the room is still filling up, but which is fine. I think it is going to get a lot more exciting as we continue the dialogue. But thank you for taking the time. Really excited, having been here and driving this very, very interesting topic. As every company that looks for opportunities in terms of driving growth, in terms of establishing recurring revenue, in terms of improving customer experience, or in terms of driving operational efficiencies. This is a great discussion, and I'm joined by equally exciting panel with me. So let me introduce the panel. So we have Jagjeet Gill, one of our leaders in the firm from Deloitte. We have John Kroupa, Director of Business Operations from Motorola Solutions. And we have Jeevan, Director of Enterprise Architecture from Motorola Solutions. Okay, that's it. Nice setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is a conversation, a panel discussion with some of our members here, and we'll go through many different topics. In terms of how companies are transitioning to more subscription-based, recurring revenue models, and we'll talk through many different topics. But before we go into the detail, the fact that we have Motorola Solutions here, just for everybody's benefit, it's a company based in Chicago, global company. They provide mission-critical communication products, softwares, and services for communities, for agencies, government and public safety agencies. In fact, we do have a nice video that highlights, what they do and how they are serving their customers. So we'll just play a short video for all of you.
What if safety, efficiency, and productivity were deeply connected? That the technologies that make us safer could also make us better at everything we do. Smarter and faster, more focused and aware, more connected and resilient, more accurate and fair. It's a reinvention of what safety can achieve, from everyday operations to your overall mission. We've made it real by building the first technology ecosystem that unifies voice, video, data, and analytics on a single platform. Technologies that communicate with each other and learn from each other. Information that flows freely from cameras to radios, from smart devices to command centers. Intelligence that advances outwards, giving you eyes and ears where you've never had them before. Addressing the industry challenges of today with an eye toward the future. It's time to know more of what's happening, to put people where they're needed most, to get ahead of events before they unfold, to start evolving without limits, disruption, or downtime. It's time to reimagine what safety can do.
Wow, that was an amazing video, no doubt about it. Now I have been, having seen this company transform many, over the past many years, a very legacy hardware, business model, perpetual business model, and now, bringing that integrated solutions, and emphasizing on what they do best for their customers and the moments that matter and providing that safety. It's an amazing transformation, and that's what we are going to talk today. So, Jagjeet, John, and Jeevan, we are going to have some Q&A. So no easy questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start the discussion. So Jagjeet, I'll start with you. As you look at your role and the broad market and the companies that are investing in this as-a-service models, recurring revenue models, can you just talk through the market trends, across different industries, and what does it mean, for some of our audience here?
Sure. But I think before I answer that, I think it sounds like you wanted to start with me first, second, third. Like, you are sequencing the questions in this way.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when we think about our as-a-service markets, right, the reality is multiple industry sectors are actually getting impacted with these subscription-based business models. Yes, somewhere telecom industry used to have and still have a utility kind of a model. But since then, majority of the software companies and the hardware companies within the tech sector have started to transform towards these subscription-based services. But now we have also started to see some significant trend in medtech, industrial products, retail, even consumer products, right? We all subscribe to pretty much Amazon Prime or those kind of subscriptions, right? Or we might have Ring doorbell at home and we are subscribing to that as well. So the fact of the matter is, we as a consumers and business customer as well, we are demanding that, hey, I should pay for the services based only on the usage of the services. I don't want to pay for the full product or a full set of services. I want to pay it based on what I'm actually truly consuming. And that's one of the major drivers for these organizations such as Motorola Solutions to start thinking about how do we make a shift towards subscription-based business models. Now, traditionally speaking, everybody was just selling products and services. It's a one-time sale, and then you move towards a support set of services. But over time, what has happened is it started to shift towards more solutions. What do we mean by solutions is it's a combination of your hardware, software, services, or any other set of services you're delivering to your customers. They're all bundled together. You're selling a solution, whether those are industry vertical solutions or some cross-industry horizontal solutions. But now, there's another big trend which is coming up now is the shift towards outcome-based business models. What does that really mean is, again, we as consumers and customers, we want to pay for the services only if that services is truly delivering the value we expect that service to deliver to us. Now, that value could be measured in terms of the time. It could be measured in terms of financial benefit you might get out of the service usage. Or it might be based on some other tangible benefit you're seeking from consumption of that service. So I'll give you an example. For one of the largest software providers in the Bay Area, we are working with them to start defining what kind of outcome-based services they can start to put in the place so that their business customers who are using those software solutions to architect and design engineering solutions can start to pay them based on the outcome that software subscription services is going to deliver in terms of enabling the business customers to deliver better engineering capabilities and engineering solutions to their end customers. So we are working with them to figure out how is this outcome-based services is going to be measured, how it's going to be priced out, how it's going to be monetized as well. So Chirag, that's where the market is headed towards. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years from now, at the same Oracle CloudWorld, we'll be talking about how we're going to scale outcome-based services.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of taking this to the next step, and Jagjeet, I want to continue this dialogue with you. As you look at different models that you talked about, right, the outcome-based, the subscription-based models, it's not an easy equation for any companies to figure out what makes sense for them. So how companies are approaching these transformations? Can you just share some more insights into it?
Sure. Again, I think I'm sure some of you who are here are already doing something in subscription-based services as well. Every organization journey is very different. But if you take a step back and think about the broad framework you want to keep in mind, because typically that's the mental framework I keep in my mind when I'm talking to the executives, is end of the day, you want to understand what is the kind of business strategy you're trying to enable or achieve. Associated with that business strategy, what are the set of business models you already have in the market, plus what are the new business models you want to launch in the market. Then linked to that is the business operational capabilities, and then the associated technology capabilities. And then cutting across all of this stuff is going to be the change management. Because as you can expect, when you're shifting from a legacy model to a new model, or even if you're launching some sort of a new model, it's a significant change for the organization, for your customers, for your channel partners. So when you have to think about where you want to start with the journey, if you have this kind of a mental framework in your mind, you will realize that within your own organization, you will be at a different level of maturity where you want to start your journey from. So for example, one of the medtech company I'm actually interacting with right now, they're based out of Netherlands. They have acquired some of the software companies, and they want to move towards more of medical services on a subscription basis. So for them, they already have a very strong foundation of the medical equipment they're selling in the marketplace. But for them, how the medical equipments are used and how those services are being delivered to their end customers, it's that software layer they want to convert into a subscription, right? So for them, it's an adjacency in terms of the new business model enablement. So they already have a very robust set of business operations and technology stack. So they're focusing on more of an incremental set of capabilities and the technology capabilities they need to enable this kind of a new business model, right? So again, for every organization, where you start your journey, on how you want to start moving forward with that, and essentially how much investment you want to make in short term versus long term, that kind of drives how you want to start your journey.
That's so insightful, Jagjeet, from that perspective. So let's pivot this conversation. John, Motorola Solutions, amazing story, right? And what you are going through, with this transformation. But if you go back and relook at not relook at, but as you think through, how you started this, what were the key business drivers that necessitated the shift to subscription recurring revenue models? Can you share some more perspective to this audience,
Sure.
John?
Sure. So we've been working to build out our cloud portfolio for good 5 or 6 years now. Some of that was migrating existing on-prem products to cloud alternatives, and then some were actually just building out new products. And as we did that over this same time span, we also acquired a number of companies. And as we looked at both sets of products, we really wanted to make sure that we were unlocking the business value of both of those. And one of those ways is through bundling and subscription-based offers. And so as you kind of saw in that video, we're starting to pull together our video assets, our radio assets, and our command center assets all together into one cohesive offer that we can bring to the customers. And so when we decided, yes, that's the direction we want to go, the question was, well, what platform are we going to use to do that? And when we looked internally, what we found was that our existing systems were really set up for subscription maintenance business, which, yes, it's reoccurring, but it's not quite the same as a true subscription business. And so we had many conversations with multiple vendors over the years, and we really ended up just coming back to building upon our existing architecture and going from there. The other piece with all of this bundling that we were doing that we needed to take into account was that as we bundle these various acquisitions, these products together, we needed a way to automatically split out that revenue as those sales came in, which is where the revenue management aspects came in.
Oh, that's very helpful. But so John, as you think through this transformations, they are so cross-functional in nature, right? This is not just finance or sales or even engineering driving that conversations, driving this shift. It's a cross-functional in nature, and that requires commitment all the way from the C-suite, right? So as you look at that and through that lens, can you talk us through how was that process in terms of your approach, the leadership commitment, And as you were going through that, what were the operational, operating model changes and things like that that you had to think through?
Yeah, so from our perspective, we're an engineering company. We always have been. And so building the products and getting them out into the market, that was really the easy part for us. The problem was, and where frankly we kind of fell down in a way, was we didn't look internally. We didn't look to see, do we have the right systems, process, and people in place to actually run a true subscription business? And so we attempted to jumpstart this in a variety of different ways, organically grow teams internally, pull different resources together, and none of them really stuck for a number of reasons. And what we started to see was that there was still this assumption from the kind of the executive level that we could and should just leverage our maintenance contract business and those processes and tools. And we finally got it to a point where we said, this is not going to work. We need to move forward. IT went off and developed the platform and rolled it out for us. And what really actually has taken hold over the last year or so is that we took a big step back and we just said, what are all the various aspects that we need to run a true subscription business? And so we just started going through all of them, listing them out, and it was really basic stuff, like what are all the subscription products we have at the company? Show me a list. How, if your customer wanted to see how all of their subscriptions, their start and end dates, where would they go? How would they see it? What would it look like? Getting into renewals. Which teams are set up to actually renew these products? And how do they renew them? Is it a new order? Is it automatic? What's the different components in there? And then all the way down to terminations. Unfortunate part of subscriptions is customers can terminate. And so we realized that we didn't really have a process in place, and we wanted to make sure that as customers do terminate, that we have a way to truly turn them off, so that they're not continuing to use the product. And so after that, after we took this approach, we've really started to grow and build upon small wins, small successes from a process perspective, and really start driving this, what we call the subscription customer experience initiative over this past year. And it's finally taken hold. We're finally getting roots. We're getting out into the market or within our organization and actually seeing a lot of value, much more mature today than we were even a year ago.
Absolutely, and especially after seeing that video and what have you done, even from business perspective, is truly exciting story from that perspective. So Jeevan, let's pivot this discussion more, as we discuss the market trends, the business models, and the key considerations, all of that. But when you look at through the lens of IT, right, and especially your landscape, which is also a fairly complex landscape, right, and enabling these capabilities in that landscape is also not an easy ask, right, and also it requires a very careful planning, unique solutions. What type of challenges that you ran into, as you were enabling those capabilities, transitioning to cloud, and also maintaining some of the on-prem investments that you already have?
Yeah, so traditional hardware business, so our quote to cash handles the hardware pretty good. But when we started introducing the recurring revenue subscription-based business, we had a lot of capabilities gaps. So what we had to do is, let me list out how we went through it. So initially, when we transitioned, our go-to-market was predominantly direct sale. So we already had Oracle CPQ. So we enabled the attribute-based pricing in the CPQ, so that when we sell the subscription, whether you sell for 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, you can the sales team can decide, and they can leverage the attribute-based pricing automatically to get the dollar amount, the pricing calculation done properly. Once we did that, we saw that initially our integration were with the on-prem. Then we ran into what John mentioned about renewals, amendments, and all those things. So we started looking for the Oracle subscription module with the revenue management, because we had to do the revenue management manually, so we wanted to automate it. So that's when we enabled the ABO capability that we have in CPQ that naturally integrates with subscription. We enabled that capability. So that was the second capability. So our direct sales were able to configure our radios with the subscription, and they were able to quote and convert it into an order. So it was all great, but our business started going to the next level. Now we started selling subscription to our indirect channel, partner-based, and now partner-based is through commerce. We have Oracle Cloud Commerce. So whatever foundation that we did with the Oracle CPQ and the subscription, now we had to build the integration into the Oracle Cloud Commerce. So we had to build a lot of capabilities related to self-service. We had a major release last week that enabled a lot of capabilities with the self-service. And then we also acquired a lot of companies. As part of our acquisition, there are some challenges that comes with it. Device-based subscription, like Jagjeet mentioned, hey, there are different type of offers and other things. So that one was device-based. So now we need to associate a device serial number to the subscription. So we created an integration between our on-prem install base into the ALB, into the cloud, so that we can associate the serial number into the subscription. So it is not overnight. It's a slow migration, a slow capability, build up that we enabled, and working closely with the business as they moved, and we started building with them. So I would not say that the challenges are fully done. We still have more challenges, but we are going step by step.
Oh, thanks, Jeevan. So, you brought up another, interesting element. As we look at these transformations, it's not just about modernizing your own portfolio. Companies are looking at both organic and inorganic growth. And especially as you look at inorganic growth, it brings way too many variations into the process, right? So, Jagjeet, as you look at, the market, the overall M&A market, right, which is so predominant, especially in this sector and in this space, if you will, right? What are the key considerations, as companies are expanding into software and services and solutions models, right, through acquisitions?
Look, I think, one of the fastest way to get into this kind of a business model is through acquisition, right? Mm-hmm. Majority of the organizations are looking at complementary products and services, which are software-based, subscription-based, to help accelerate their transformation towards subscription-based. And some of this is actually just driven with the fact that some of the legacy companies don't necessarily have a full-blown software services. So for them, it just logically makes sense to acquire. But you would be surprised that even the cloud-native companies continue to acquire other software subscription companies, right? And the reality is, the market itself is demanding the solutions, as we talked about earlier, right? Every customer is demanding solutions being delivered from these providers. So to deliver those solutions, you have to acquire some other software subscription provider to complement your existing products and services. But as these organizations have been acquiring and integrating these companies, there are a couple of things which you should keep in mind. So first and foremost, is the strategy that we want to drive go-to-market from synergies around solution sets? If that's the case, you will have to be very thoughtful about how you want to integrate the business operations and the associated technology stack. Typically, if your existing parent companies or provider companies, operations and tech stack is very stable and is something which can actually scale effectively as well, a lot of these organizations do tuck-ins. What I mean by tuck-in is basically they will fold in these acquired entities into your existing operations and the tech stack. But because of some of the legacy business models some of these organizations have, they do run into challenges about scalability. So what happens is in some selective areas, you will see some reverse integration happening. As an example, majority of these organizations wouldn't necessarily have subscription billing or revenue recognition, recurring revenue recognition capabilities. So there you try to do reverse integration, because if you believe that the acquired entity already has some robust subscription billing processes and policies, then why not reverse integrate that billing part of the house so you can actually still accelerate your transformation, right? So there's a client where it's a cloud native company. The struggle they had was the other way around. So they had a very mature subscription services and subscription models, but they ended up acquiring perpetual software companies. So for the longest time, they had to keep those perpetual software business units as a standalone, because their parent, the providers, operations were truly SaaS. So they had to do the other way around to kind of like figure out, okay, how do I enable a perpetual model on my SaaS model, right? So that was a very interesting case study in terms of how we ended up managing that. But there are different kind of interesting scenarios which can occur during the integration. So the organization should be very thoughtful about how they want to integrate the products, the services, to operations, to customer partners, and then as well as the technology investments. So that's how they need to approach it.
That's very, very helpful. And even so, let me, John, maybe a question for you. There are many clients in this room who are either already going through the journey or they are about to start the journey with different levels of maturity. And you have done an amazing job over the past few years driving this transformation. So as you look at that, what are the top 3-5 capabilities that you would advise this audience to focus on, and why it matters from the business perspective?
Yeah, so I would say there's probably 4 that we've kind of focused in on that I think would help for organizations that were maybe in our spot where we were struggling to have the business model take hold, or for those that are new to it. The first one I would say is really look at it as if you're starting a new subscription business, because frankly most of us probably are in a lot of ways. So actually take that step back, look at what you have today, and really say, are these the right systems, the tools, the people, the processes that we currently have in-house? Is this the platform and everything that we want to use going forward to run this new growing business? And the answer is probably not. Maybe many of you are lucky and you can leverage those platforms already in-house. But in a lot of ways, I think taking it from that perspective and really going back out will show you where you need to start working over the next couple of years to actually build some of the capabilities. The second thing would be to invest. And what I've said in this space here before is that if you go into this type of a transformation journey and you are just trying to get by with the resources and processes that you have today, that's ultimately all you're going to do. You're just going to get by. And so that doesn't mean that you need to go out and immediately invest and spin up a 100-person organization right away on day one, but you need to make sure that the team and people that you have in place that are starting to build this, they have the resources they need, they have the runway, and maybe from some of our financial folks out there, make sure that they have the resource, the dollars behind the initiative so that they can go off and actually invest and bring stuff in without having to have an immediate business case that's going to have an ROI in the next 6 months, because this is a growing strategic business that you need to start with. So third, I would say, is being rigidly flexible. So in a lot of ways, we actually did a pretty decent job with this, is define a lot of your archetypes that you really need to go to market with first, those handful of archetypes that you want to actually build out and support. and stick to those. Go out, build out your first version of the product, get it out there, get the platforming and everything in place, and make sure that you're able to do that well. And then you can start adding on additional as you get more mature in the space. But you need to be flexible along the way. So what we've absolutely seen is that as we roll out the platforms, we find that our products end up in a different spot than we thought they were. Our market ends up in a different spot than we thought it was going to be. And the overall global pandemic type situation really turned a lot of ours on our heads. And so you just need to be able to be flexible with the models you've chosen, so you're not solely locked into that, but also not trying to boil the ocean by going after every single available option out there from a subscription perspective. And the fourth I would say is you need to commit. You got to commit top down, bottom up, left, right, zigzag, you name it. Everybody's got to be on board with this. It's got to be everybody except for maybe real estate and corporate tax needs to be involved in this type of transformation. It's everybody. And if you don't, what you'll end up with is you'll have pockets of success. You'll have great teams that'll get out there, really get behind it, and you'll actually grow that aspect of the business. But you're going to have pockets that don't buy in. You're going to have pockets that fall back on the old processes and tools. And you'll end up with failures in those areas. And so unless you really have that full commitment all across your business, you're going to, like I mentioned before, you're just going to end up getting by.
Well, that's so insightful. Jeevan, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, from an IT perspective, what I would say is, like John mentioned, define the offer types that the business is going to the market. Once you do that, you can start creating customer journey for all those offer types and play it out and see what are the gaps, what are the capabilities that you need to build it. So now, once you have that, it's not done. You need to have a governance process that you need to work with the business, particularly the product manager who are bringing the new product into the market, to introduce. We need to work with them and ask them to stick to this offer type that we have so that they can follow the guardrails. And like John was mentioning, you can't boil the ocean. You want to do all kinds of offer types. And then I would also say that don't assume that one solution is going to fit for all go-to-market capability. B2B, B2C, they're all different. You need to be always thinking about what are the things, the right way for a best customer experience as well as employee experience, and what are the capabilities you need to build. You can't just sit, relax. You need to be thinking about all those and closely work with the business. So before they bring that, you are thinking about it and start planning to build that.
That's helpful. And you refer B2B, B2C. So maybe John, I'll ask you a question around, as you look at, different sales motions, right? Whether it is direct or indirect, and even within that, whether it is a partner-led model or distributor or multi-tier models or even for that matter, marketplace, which is also becoming very, very common nowadays in the market, right? So as you look at different sales motions and it's a cross-functional transformation, right? Do you have any perspective that you would like to share to this audience in terms of what you should prioritize, through, as you look at all of that, and any other specifics that you want to add to that?
Yeah, so we were maybe a little fortunate, maybe a little lucky that the cloud products that we have been developing were really geared towards the North American market and really kind of direct sales only. And so that allowed us to go to market, limited archetypes, get the direct model in place, get our platforms in place, go through a couple different releases of the platform, really get our feet under us so that when now with this latest rollout that we had this past weekend, we've now moved into the partner space and we can start offering more, selling more offers through our partners through the new capabilities that the IT team and partners have put out there. And so with that, it worked out well for us so that we were able to get a little bit more mature within our company and then with our partners over that time. The other thing that I would say too is that now that we have this in place, we have a platform that not only can we take it to more partners, but we can also move to international, and which is another area that we haven't really. Our products aren't quite there from a SaaS subscription perspective and roll out on the market, but that's definitely an area that we're moving in, and we'll be poised to make that move here in the next year.
That's helpful. And that just gives some more perspective, right? It's a very, complicated process, if you will, in terms of what to prioritize, what capabilities to prioritize, what are the sales motions that you should prioritize, what are the offers that you prioritize. There are a lot of dimensions, and all of these dimensions, to be honest with you, matter, right? So it becomes a, very interesting dialogue from that perspective. So Jeevan, as we look at, this transformation, through the lens of enterprise architecture. Let's talk about like APIs and microservices and other considerations from architecture perspective. Can you share some perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, so the offers, normally the business tries to go to the market. They come up with variety of ways. So you need to be thinking about how whatever capability that I am creating that can be leveraged to the different product that they are launching, or we are very good in acquiring a lot of companies pretty often. So the acquired companies have their own portal, and our own products, different product teams create their own portal. So from an IT perspective, what we should be thinking about is, hey, how can I integrate with that portal? So have a single sign-on strategy so that it is easy to seamlessly you are going to navigate from that portal to your commerce portal. So you can leverage whatever whatever we are built for the commerce that can be leveraged to sell self-service with that portal. And then other thing is have the customer information, the subscription or the entitled information available through API so that we can enforce the entitlement into the portal. So we have created that. It is something you guys all should be thinking about. How can we expose the subscription futures so that they can take it and enforce from an entitlement perspective. So I would say think from an API perspective, think single sign-on. Those are the few things I would say from an enterprise. If you are an enterprise architect, you should be thinking about for your company.
Well, that's helpful. So let's continue this dialogue. So why did you pick Oracle Cloud versus others?
Well, it all started, like John mentioned, 5-6 years ago. We have a huge Oracle ERP on-prem. So, and we had Oracle CPQ in-house. Our hardware are very complex configurations that we spend a lot of time building that orderability. So with that, we did evaluate other tools also. The biggest challenge with introducing another tool was you need to redo all the product configuration that you have done here again there, because when we started into this journey, our business, what they did is they peeled some of the capabilities that they are providing in the hardware as as a subscription. So it was part of the configuration that we need to sell with. So that's a key thing. So CPQ was one of the main reason that we have the product configuration, and if we had to go with any other product, so we had to redo it, and that was the main reason that we went along with it. And it all happened right. The CPQ had native integration with the Oracle subscription module, and the Oracle subscription module has the integration with the revenue management. So we selected Oracle just for that reason.
That's I'm sure many of my friends in Oracle will be very happy to hear that, for sure.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, we had challenges. It's just not a walk. So we worked with them, worked with you guys to make that happen, right? So.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, so John, it's been an exceptionally, successful story, no doubt about it, right, over the past few years. But if you look back, right, and if you were to do things differently, right, what would you do, and what advice would you give it to this audience?
Yeah, I'd really go back to the 4 points that I made earlier. So we did not look at it from a big step back as starting a new business. We did not do that very well at all. We did not really invest, and we did try to get by leveraging existing processes, tools, people. We did, I would say, do a very good job with our archetypes. We did lock in on a couple of different models. We stuck with those. We were, through our CPQ and other tools out there, we were able to be flexible with how we were deploying the products and how we were configuring and selling them. But we didn't jump into 50 different usage models and whatnot out there. We did hone in on that aspect. And we also, frankly, didn't really commit all that well across the organization. So I think those really, I would follow those models, those 4 key points. And I would say, in the end, the investment that it really took to actually get this off the ground wasn't hundreds of people, like I said. It was really, a handful of people that knew how to navigate across the company, both inside finance, IT, products, sales organizations, really knew their way around. They were able to start small, start building on the processes that they made, capitalize on their successes, and really overly communicate as this whole product, this initiative was going, to make sure that everybody knew what was happening, being very clear about what we were doing, how we committed, what we committed to, when we were going to get back to people, and really just make sure that it was out there that this is what this organization is driving towards. And I think that's why we've been successful over the last year, because we've actually gone through and done a number of those 4 key points.
Well, that's very insightful. So Jagjeet, anything as you look at, from business model, from process capabilities, and even architecture perspective, that you would like to add to this discussion?
I would say that, work closely with the business. In our case, we were so lucky our business treated us as a partner rather than them doing it themselves. Whenever complex product that we were supposed to launch, 2.5 years, 3 years before that itself, we get involved and we work with them. We help them to make that happen. Like John mentioned, not just enabling order to cash or code to contract thing, it also some of the provisioning capabilities that we need to do into the cloud. So, and we work with federal government, so we have, for commercial, there is commercial cloud, and solutions are built on different clouds, so we had to build a lot of APIs. And I would strongly advise, right, partner with the business rather than, waiting. You just go and ask more about what is the product is about, how they are going to do it, how the solution is going to work, and how IT can help them out to get to the market. So that would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, and then Jagjeet, what about you?
I think despite all these things, I think they're all great points, they're very relevant. But I'll actually talk about the talent piece, right? So the top-down leadership commitment is very, very important. This is a commitment. This is not like, it's like a marriage commitment, right? Like you're committed to the fact that you have to move towards subscription model. It is not like, yeah, we'll do it if you want to do it, and if it works out, it's fine, right? That's not the case. It's a commitment. I have to move towards it because when you are transforming, you're transforming your customers, your channel partners, your suppliers along with you, right? So the whole ecosystem needs to transform to support this kind of a model. The second is the talent itself. You need to have the right people with the right skill sets in the right role. Otherwise, decision making is going to slow you down. Chances are you will probably make wrong decisions. The transformation might not be successful. And the last point I would make is have patience. This is a multi-year journey. It's not like an overnight journey. So have patience, but be mindful of how can you deliver tangible outcomes at a regular milestones, so that way the leadership is also satisfied that yes, it is moving in the right direction.
Oh, that's so true. So, we are close to the end of this session, and before we wrap, we do want to, play another video, that also gives you some more perspective on how this company has been transforming and their solutions. So.
Command Central delivers the industry's first complete 360-degree view of an incident, building the complete case file as the incident unfolds.
What's your emergency?
Every source of data automatically correlated to the incident,
Dispatching to the scene.
and the influx of information is simplified.
On scene. Interviewing witnesses.
All data is delivered to each user completely and accurately. Command Central captures every detail with accuracy and in one place, bringing clarity to decisions and simplifying collaborative workflows. So you have a confident 360-degree view, and your case file serves justice every time.
Thank you. I mean, this was amazing discussion, and I would like to thank the panel members for taking their time and sharing their own perspective on this, and also thank you to all of you in the audience. Really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, if you like to discuss, feel free to reach out to any one of us. We'll be here for some more time, and happy to discuss further. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.